was election day. I voted, my wife voted. Well, I look at the wrong side. We had some questions about the lightsabers we have. So I'm going to bring out Sam's lightsaber, the green one. And we're going to show how it is out in daylight. It's not super bright, but then again, this hasn't been charged in quite a while. I think we haven't charged it in about a month. And we haven't used it a whole lot, so it's got a good amount of light to this. The one drawback that we had is they used heat shrink on these things to hold the caps on, and my son's a little aggressive, and the way Sam, you're too close to it to even see you. But he got a little too aggressive. He actually cut the heat shrink tubing on the hilt of my black lightsaber, so I proceeded to take off all the heat shrink off all the lightsabers and tried hot glue. That did not work so well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to sand the cap around these edges and a little bit on the inside here and use epoxy to join it together, and we're going to see if that's the best solution for these things. The hot glue seemed like it worked pretty good on the other lightsabers, but he also swings it a lot harder than everybody else does. I'm kind of passive aggressive in my sword play with him, just mainly because I don't want to hurt him. But, so this is the green out in daylight. It's not very bright out because it's kind of partly cloudy. These haven't been charged in quite a while, so they show up a little bit better on a full charge, but they're still not too bad. Got him. So, these have just hot glue holding the end tips on. So in my evaluation, hot glue does not work very well. So we're going to epoxy these on. One other thing I really noticed is these set screws like to come loose, and the best thing you can do is use some Locktight on each one of these 3 set screws. Just a little dab will do you a whole lot of good, and just tighten her down and then hold it in place. Back here, I've gone through and brought in some 120 grit sandpaper. I've gone through and removed a whole bunch of the hot glue that I had on this stuff, sanded on the inside of the tubes and on the caps here, and I just got some Gorilla Epoxy here. Part of a shim to stir up this epoxy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply it to the inside edge of this thing. So this holds tight. I'll stick the lightsaber sitting down. Weight is bearing it down. Now I got all three of the lightsabers that I epoxied up, sitting where the cap is bearing all the weight, that it keeps a tight fit as the epoxy dries, and I'll probably leave it sit for a few days and make sure that it fully cures up before we test them out again. The epoxy is fully hardened and we've charged them up. So let's give them a good testing.
No, attack Dad! Dad! That's the hardest.
After a decent beating, mine seems really solid. And after a pretty good amount of swinging on there, it doesn't even shift. So it looks like his is holding up really well. So I think epoxying it after sanding it down is a success. We'll see in the future how it works. But from everything I've seen so far, it looks like it's a success. Joy's is just super glue, but she doesn't really swing very hard and not sporadic, and hers is still really solid. And here's Evan's sword, and it seems like it's really held up well. He doesn't really swing it very hard, so I'm saying the epoxy worked. Sanding it down around the edges just to roughen it up, cleaning it up, and then epoxying it, leaving it sit for a few days. It's got a really good hold. So Sam, what do you think of it?
Cool.
So, it looks like I'm not going to need the heat shrink tubing after all. But we'll see in the long run. The epoxy looks like it's working really, really well with the lightsabers.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, then please press the like button.
And if you like what you've been watching, please hit the subscribe button.
To see our latest video, click on the link to the right.
Thank you again. Later.